Thank you, Wayne. Price resistance, that horrible moment we're so afraid of in the sales process when the customer looks us in the eye and says, your price is way too high, Greg. I can't afford that. I can get it from your competitor for much cheaper than what you're selling it for. I know it's the same thing. I know, he told me. We're so afraid of it that we put the pricing all the way to the back part of our presentation sometimes. Sometimes we don't even put it in there at all, and we make the customer ask us, how much is this going to cost me? What's the investment? Well, today, we're going to uncover some tactics, techniques, strategies for overcoming, meeting, and hopefully mitigating some of those resistances. We're not going to make it go away because that's part of the sales process. You're exchanging goods for services and goods for dollars. That resistance is going to be there. But today we're going to uncover some tactics of how to deal with that. Now, before we get started, there's two questions you want to ask yourself. First, why does the customer have the price resistance? And secondly, why do salespeople succumb to price resistance and drop their prices? So let's get back to the first question. Why do customers have price resistance? Well, I talked to a lot of, in order to sell my training, I talked to a lot of VP of sales, marketing managers, CEOs, people in the main office. And if you ask them, they'll tell you, well, our sales team, Greg, just doesn't go out there and sell value. They're out there, they run around, they want to drop prices. Immediately, as soon as they hit the price resistance, they want to lower their prices. And if you ask the sales team, they'll tell you the exact opposite. We're charging way too much compared to our competitors. We need to drop our prices in order to be competitive in the marketplace. Well, hopefully somewhere in between, in the middle, is the real answer. But there can be other reasons for that. One, they just might not need our product. Or they physically, financially can't afford our product. Or they don't know what else to do. So they throw that classic line, your price is too high, seeing if you'll drop your price. Or maybe they're playing games. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. But let's get to the next question. Why do salespeople drop their prices? Now, I was given a presentation recently to a group of managers, and I asked that rhetorical question. And in the back of the room, somebody smartly, these were a group of managers, in the back of the room, somebody smartly yelled out, because they can. And after the laughter died down and everybody patted each other on the back and they all did high fives, I said, yeah, that's probably true. If you give somebody pricing authority, especially a salesperson that's incentivized to go out and make sales, and you give that person pricing authority, there might be some times when they do it just because they can. And there's going to be a certain percentage of your sales team that will give that price discount to everybody, sometimes without the customer even asking for it. So you have to be careful of that. But there's other reasons why they do. Of course, fear of losing the sale. And then one of the major reasons, we're going to deal with this more in depth in this presentation, is lack of knowledge. And we'll talk about lack of knowledge, but lack of knowledge that leads to lack of confidence in understanding their marketplace. So that lack of confidence, they don't know exactly how to meet that resistance. So they fumble around and they acquiesce, and then they drop their prices. Now there's 4 steps every time you meet a price resistance to deal with. There's 4 steps, very easy. Clarify, classify, respond, and decide. So clarify, classify, respond, and decide. We're going to talk about the 4th one first, because that one, we're going to get it out of the way, and that's decide. You either have the choice at the end of the day to drop your price or not. There's repercussions for both choices, and I can't really advise you in this scenario with a group how to make that decision, because there's all kinds of aspects that are involved. Positives and negatives. If you do drop your price, you may lose your margin, you may lose your job. If you don't drop your price, you may lose the sale, you may lose your customer. So there's all kinds of avenues. We're going to leave that one for a whole nother presentation. But let's get back to the first 3 steps. Clarify, classify, and respond. By clarify, what I want you to do is, here's what happens. Customer throws this challenge at you. Your price is too high. And immediately I coach salespeople a lot, and I'm riding around and I watch. And I get the advantage of watching from the sidelines. I watch, and all of a sudden the salesperson starts chasing that resistance point. And it's the proverbial dog chasing their tail. They're answering, we have a lot of cost built into this, and we shipped it from China, and we bought this stuff, and we have researchers, we have staff, we have all this overhead. We have to charge you a lot of money, Mr. Customer. The customer doesn't care. He's loving it, or she's loving it, because now she's got the salesperson on the run. I'm going to throw another one at them as soon as that one dies down until they run around in a circle and they're too tired, and then I'll probably get my way. So I want you to stop. Don't chase it. I mean, the first thing that should come to your mind when somebody says your price is too high should be too high compared to what? You'd think we're in the agriculture business, we'd be able to compare apples to apples, but we don't. We compare apples to oranges all the time. I can't tell you how many times I'm driving down the road and a salesperson calls me about a price challenge that they got from one of their customers. And I have to stop, okay? And I know they're excited and they're upset because they may lose the sale or they're getting challenged by a customer and the customer's upset. Well, we have to first stop. I mean, we sell things by the ton, by the pound, by the hundredweight, by the bushel, by the truckload, the boatload. How much is on a truck? I don't know. There's different size trucks. We have to do all that back. Is it delivered? Is it fob? Is it before or after discounts? Is there cash discounts involved? You know, is the moisture level of all these products, is it mixed? Is it completely diluted? There's all these things that you've got to get the apples. Once you've got the apples to apples comparison, now you can start looking at the actual price and see if you're out of line. The second thing that you're trying, or the thing that you're trying to do with this clarification is you're trying to classify what is the actual resistance point. It might be value, as we talked about in the beginning when the sales managers and the VP of sales and all that think our sales team is not selling value. It might be true value, and you've got to go back to the customer and show the ROI and the return on investment or the advantages of what they're going to get out of this and express that value. But oftentimes, it might be other reasons. One of the big reasons is physical price. I call it physical price because it means that the customer simply does not have enough money or does not have a way to make those payments. Let me give you an example. If I go to, let's say I'm going to move to this city, our own city right here, and I go to my realtor and I say, I want to live in the best part of town. And she says, oh, I know right where that's at. That's out in Oakdale. And I said, great, let's go look at homes in Oakdale. How much does it cost to live in Oakdale? Well, average home price is $1.5 million. Now, we got a problem. I got a resistance point. I cannot physically float or pay a $1.5 million loan. Now, she's got to do the third step, and that's respond, or somebody has to, because without it, we are not going to the next step, which is to jump in his or her car and go look at homes without the ability for me to pay that kind of loan. So her response is she's got to come up with ways for me to be able to afford to make that payment. Once that's met, there's the next step is I either agree and we start looking at homes, or I disagree and now we're back to square one, which is to start clarifying what is the real reason. You know, well, I'm not going to cash in my entire 401 to live in Oakdale. Nice homes, but I think I can't buy without doing that. So clarify, classify, respond, and then of course make your decision whether you're going to drop the price or not. Before we go further and get into some of the questions and answer session, I want to talk about a couple of key points. First and foremost, in any financial negotiation, knowledge is power. The most important thing you can equip yourself in order to get in there and overcome the resistance to your price is knowledge. Knowledge of the industry, knowledge of your competitors, knowledge of your business as well. Knowing all those aspects of how they're interwoven and how you can achieve the same end result in multiple different ways will allow you to meet that true resistance once you've clarified, classified, and figured out exactly what the problem is, why they're resisting your price. Having all that knowledge, and the more experience you get, the more easy that becomes. Second thing is know it's coming. I'm always amazed when I'm out riding around and we get into the car after we've done the sales process and we had our price challenge, and the salesperson is all surprised and they're angry and they're mad about the fact that the customer had this price resistance, and they want to express their anger over the fact that this happened. It's like it's part of the process. It's not going to go away. It's going to be there for the rest of your life. It's just how you react to it that makes the difference. Keep your ego out of it, and when in doubt, ask questions. Last thing I want to leave you is kind of a key point. Customers, we always think that customers are, if this is the ladies' scales, we always think customers want the highest value for the lowest price. Or we're salespeople, we want to sell the highest price for the lowest quality or product. And it really isn't necessarily true. They may think that that's what they want, but these scenarios are not sustainable. If we got the lowest price and the highest quality, how long are we going to stay in business and be that customer's vendor? Not very long. or you're not going to be in your job very long. To switch that around, you got the lowest quality and you're selling for the highest price. How long is your customer going to be able to sustain that? Not very long. They're going to switch vendors, or they're going to figure out that you've been not maybe treating them fair. What they truly are looking for is a fair price. And that's what your journey on this, when you clarify, classify, and then overcome those objections, that's what you're after, is a fair price and where that's at. Now go out there and sell for everything you're worth. Thank you.